This is the good morning, and this is one of my favorite exercises that's underused, and you rarely see it done in the gym, but it has a load of benefits. So you can start there. So the first thing is you grab the bar a little bit wider than a barbell back squat. So the reason for that is as you're moving up and down, you don't want the bar to slide up and down your back. So you can start there, Nikki. So instead of it being up high here on the traps, you want it to rest a little bit lower, a little bit further down, and more on the rear delts. And as you squeeze the bar and your grip is a little bit wider, focus on toes pointing out a little bit and push your hips backwards. Exactly, yeah. So chin down, keep your head neutral, and focus on pushing your hips or your glutes as far back past your heels as possible. Excellent. So if you're doing this properly, you'll feel a massive stretch on your hamstrings and glutes especially, and your lower back will be worked very, very hard. So working the hamstrings, glutes, and lower back together, the posterior chain exercises, has massive carryover to your squats and deadlifts. So a lot of the top powerlifting and gymnastics coaches in the world pick good mornings as their favorite exercise for increasing the strength of your squat and your front squat. So squeeze the bar as tight as you can, big stretch, come up, and let's go 2 more reps. Squeeze the bar as tight as you can, chin down, head neutral, push the hips backwards, feel the stretch. And unlike the RDL, the good morning technique is actually pretty easy to learn. Because you're in this position with your upper body, you can learn the technique very, very quickly. This is the top tips for the squat, or for squatting heavier. So you can grab the bar, Nikki. So the first and most important tip at the start is to make sure you grab the bar at the right position. And the right position is as close as your shoulder mobility allows, because that'll allow you to contract your back muscles a lot harder. So once you do that and you go in underneath, you'll find that you're in a really stable position and all your back muscles are contracted like a lat pull down or a seated cable row. So you come back. You can start your reps, so point your toes out a little bit. So you can see there, because the grip is proper and it's nice and even, the back muscles are all tightened. So the squat is a leg exercise, but heavy squatting relies massively on what you're doing with your upper back and what you're doing with your upper body in general, your chin position, as you're going through the movement. So if you get a really strong grip of the bar and your back muscles are flexed really hard, you're far more likely to be able to build up your reps. If your upper body is loose, you're going to feel very, very weak, even if your legs are capable of lifting more weight. So toes pointing out a little bit, squeeze the bar tight, pull it into you, and focus on bending the knees, getting as low as possible and driving up to the heel. Let's go 2 more reps. Bend the knees and drive up fast to the ground. Big breath to the nose, bend the knees, and drive up to the heels. Good. Well done. This is the Romanian deadlift. Okay, you can start there, Nikki. So a nice tight grip just outside your legs, and make sure toes pointing out a little bit, chest up, shoulders back, and you can start your reps there. So a few main coaching points will be just to lower the bar against your legs, keep it as close as possible to your legs, just past your knee. So to your shin or your mid shin, depending on your flexibility, but anything past the knee is fine. The second thing is to keep your chin down and at the same time your shoulders back together. So your scapula protracted and squeeze your shoulder blades back together. And once you're doing those couple of things right, it's just a matter of pushing your hips as far back as you possibly can. So your hips and your glutes in relation to your heels, they should be as far back as possible. And you'll do that far easier if you just simply keep the bar close to your shins. If the bar goes away from your shins, you'll round your back a little bit more, and you lean more forward, and your glutes won't get as much of a stretch at the back. Go 2 more reps, push the hips back, and squeeze up, drive through your heels, squeeze the glutes. 1 more. Drive to the heels, squeeze your glutes. Well done. This is the Bulgarian split squat. So you can start there, Nikki. So grab the weight, and the first and most important part is the setup. So let's go up into the first rep. Drive up. So what I prefer personally is not to be too far forward with the front foot, you can start repping, or too far back. So the legs not to be too exaggerated either way. The further you go back, the more you're going to bend your knee, and the more you bend your knee is going to be more quads. The further you have your left leg forward, the less you're going to bend your knee and the more stretch you're going to get on the glute, the more you're going to work your glute. So usually I don't use either extreme. I like to keep it just whatever feels comfortable based on your height and your flexibility. Keep your chest up, shoulders back, pin the shoulder blades back together as tight as you can, good tight grip, and drive to the heel. So let's go 1, 2 down, and then fast up, snap up to your heel. Let's go 5 more like that. 5, 4, good. Squeeze tight, shoulder blades back. 3, and drive to your heel, squeeze tight. Remember, like the barbell squat, keep the upper body really tight, especially as the reps get more and more difficult. Well done, done. This is the top tips for the hip thrust. So the first thing is you want to make sure, very simply, that the pad that you're using, so that the bar is not uncomfortable on your hips, is facing upwards. Because a lot of the time when people are doing this, the pad is facing halfway down and it pops off in the middle of the set. It can be very uncomfortable on your hip bones. Okay, so move your hips back, or your feet back, and now hands across your chest. Okay, grab the bar as tight as you can, as close as possible, chin down, eyes gazing forward, and drive up to your heels. Perfect, perfect. So you want your chin down, eyes gazing straight forward, and your heels want to be in line with your knees, or slightly in front. And that way you're going to be working your glutes the hardest. So chin down, eyes gazing straight forward. And this is a full range of motion hip thrust. So at the top, you're going to feel peak contraction. And with the hip thrust, you're always better off doing a little bit of a pause at the top, because that's where the glutes are working the hardest. And a lot of people make the mistake of going a bit too heavy with the weight and missing out on the peak contraction, which is the whole point of the exercise, which is to work your glutes as hard as possible. And drive up, and let's go 3 more. So heels in line with your knees, make sure the pad is facing up, chin down, eyes gazing straight forward, and grab the bar as close as possible on either side of the pad so that your back muscles are all tightened. Good, well done.